Okay. Okay. So, good evening, guys. I am Kavya, and I am cybersecurity analyst at Hackers for You. So, today's session is all about the 8 day free live training session, and I welcome to all of you on board. Throughout this project live course, we will learn everything from the project scoping. It's about the report writing you'll get to learn, and you'll get to deep analysis of the report writing and covering the phases of the pen testing. That could be information gathering, scanning, or the OS exploitation. We know the OS exploitation very well, and that we will go to the deeper part in this 8 day free training course. Can Matam, can you please mute yourself? Yeah, sorry for the distance. And so we will cover the information gathering, scanning, OS exploitation, and the post exploitation part, and as well as the report writing. We will get to know overall. We'll explore all the OWASP or 10 top 10 vulnerabilities and how to identify them on day-to-day basis. Like entire 8 day free courses, we'll get to know starting. We'll go with the introduction, and the end of the 8th day, we'll get to know about everything like the.
All right, guys. Good evening. So, how are you guys doing? So, first of all, I would like to thank Kavya for the introduction. Okay. So, good evening, guys. Thank you so much, Kavya, for the introduction.
Thank you very much.
All
Okay,
right.
good luck, all the best to your session,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you. Thank you, dear. All right, guys. So, good evening. It is great to see you all, guys, over here. And I welcome you all to the Hackers for You free 8 day pen testing like training sessions. Okay, so it is great to see so much enthusiasm amongst you guys. Okay, so this session will be live in YouTube as well. Okay, so all right, so this is the first session of the 8 day program, right? So today we are going to get some introduction of pen testing. All right, guys, so do one thing, you guys let me know in the chat section so how much in like knowledge you have about cybersecurity in general, and also let me know that what at what stage you are currently in, like beginner or intermediate. Just let me know in the chat section. Okay, Okay, Pankaj, you asked something. You can ask in the chat section. Okay, you don't have to turn on your mics. Yeah, whatever questions you guys have, ask in the chat section. Okay.
So chat section is not available. Can you allow
Then,
us?
all right, all right, all right. I will ask the team. So for now, you can just ask Agarwal. Go on. Okay, so if someone wants to say something, you can for now just turn on the mic and just let me know. Okay, so Seven, you are from Nepal. Great. All right. What about others? Totally beginner. Okay, I'm a beginner, intermediate, intermediate. Okay. So what about others? Beginner. All right, intermediate, beginner. Completed my OSCP. Great, great, great. Intermediate, beginner, diploma. All right, guys. All right, all right. So as much as I can see, there is a mixed audience present in this session, right? So it is great to have you guys over here. Okay, so now I am going to start my session, right? I will start presenting. So now we are going to cover certain like the basic concepts of pen testing. Just a second, guys. So guys, this session is like for the beginners also. Okay, so here we will start from the like basic concepts only. Okay, and eventually we will get into the advanced concepts until we reach the day 8. Okay, so don't worry, guys. This is useful for every person, those who is present in the meet. Okay, so just a second, guys. There is like I'm having some technical issues. Yes, 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 guys. This video will be uploaded in YouTube, so you can check it out from there also. All right, guys. So we will start our presentation. Okay. So this is the introduction of pen testing, right? So we will see certain topics related to the foundational concepts of penetration testing. Starting with the introduction, then benefits, scope, the difference between security audit, vulnerability assessment, penetration test, types of penetration test, strategies, and all. Okay. So now we are going to start with the definition or what penetration testing really is. Okay, guys. So as much as you have mentioned in the chat section, so some of you are intermediate, some of you are beginners. So still I would like to repeat this for you guys for a better understanding. Okay. So penetration testing, also known as pen testing, goes a step ahead of vulnerability assessment, right? So what happens is, like when you are using a vulnerability scanner, for example, like Nessus or OpenVS or Vega. Okay, so when you use tools like this, these tools will perform automated vulnerability scanning for you guys only. Okay, but what happens is they won't show you the exploitation of those vulnerabilities, or in certain cases, they might show you some false positives as well. Okay, so here comes penetration testing, where we go a bit deeper into the target. Okay, so after that, what happens is, like from the vulnerability assessment or the scanning, we get a basic understanding of what are the possible vulnerabilities that might be present in our target, right? So after that, in penetration testing, we just like exploit those and find more vulnerabilities and do some manual testing, right? Now coming to the benefits of penetration testing, first, the very first one is the identifying vulnerabilities. Okay, this is the like main purpose of penetration testing. Okay, so when a client or an organization is hiring us for any kind of penetration test or even testing in general, so what they expect is we will tell them about the vulnerabilities or the weaknesses they have in their system, right? So the first vulnerability or the first benefit of penetration testing is identifying vulnerabilities. Then there is risk mitigation. Okay, so after we found some vulnerabilities, we will inform it to the technical team or the developers or the remediation team, and they will then fix those vulnerabilities or the misconfigurations or whatever kind of issues that the system might have. They will try to fix it, right? Then there is compliance requirement. Okay, so what happens is when you are an organization and you are open in the market, and people are, when you are serving to people and people are using your service, you need to meet certain standards, right? So in that, there are certain standards, policies and requirements that are predefined or fixed by certain authoritative organizations, right? So for that purpose also, pen testing is very useful. Like we can meet the security standards with penetration test, right? Then there is security awareness, right? Then there is testing incident responses, prioritizing remediation efforts, enhancing security control, business continuity, protecting reputation, and cost saving, right? So you might have heard that phrase that paying a reward is better than paying a ransom, right, guys? So this is what you mean by these 2 points: protecting reputation, right? For a company to survive in the market, the reputation of the company is very important, right? Like what happens if you guys are providing a web service and people are using like your services, and someone like defames your website, right? They show something hacked, this site is being hacked and or whatever, right? So what happened will, those who are the legitimate users, those who are your legitimate users, there in that case you will face some reputational loss, right? Like they will also get the feeling that this site is not secure, my data is not secure with these services, right? So you cannot take risk about your reputation, right? So pen testing is like one of the best ways of protecting your reputation. And next, coming to the cost saving, it is like today, if you don't like prefer doing pen testing as an organization, it might very well happen that someday you will get hacked by a certain hacker sitting at certain place of the world, right? So it is always better, like I mentioned in that phrase only, it is always better to pay a reward than a ransom, right? Now see, it is like hearing about pen testing and ethical hacking, you feel like a hacker, right? That's our Mr. Robot. We all are Mr. Robot fanboys over here. Okay, now coming to a bit more detail, you can see security audit is a concept, vulnerability and assessment is another, and pen testing is the big brother, right? So coming to security audits, checks whether an organization follows a set of security policies and procedures, like I mentioned earlier, for meeting compliance, right? So I mentioned earlier that there are certain organizations and like big organization, federal organization, for example, NIST, then we have OWASP, then we have EC Council and all. So there are other organizations as well, those who have the responsibility of checking out that the organizations in the market, those who are providing services to the like common people and the users, are they secure or not? Okay, so security audit does was what is like they will prepare a set of standards which are being predefined and companies need to meet that. Okay, so a security auditor will come up and check out those things. Is this like are there firewalls present in the system or not, or intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, and etc etc, right? So this is like going over the top, like not going deep inside it. Okay, now coming to vulnerability assessment. Vulnerability assessment is like some overview of the weaknesses that might be present in the system. So you can see over here, a vulnerability assessment focuses on discovering the vulnerabilities in an information system, but provides no indication of whether the vulnerabilities can be exploited or the amount of damage that may result from the successful exploitation of the vulnerabilities. I mentioned this earlier also. So this is the basic gist of vulnerability assessment. Now, coming to penetration testing. Pentesting is a methodological approach to security assessment that encompasses a security audit and vulnerability assessment, and demonstrate whether the vulnerabilities in a system can be successfully exploited by a hacker or not. Right? Like whatever you found with the vulnerability scanner, like OpenVS, Nessus, are they really like exploitable or not, or are they just false positives? Right? Now here we will see the basic like purpose, focus, and methods outcomes of security audit. So if you see, coming to the focus of security audit is on examining the overall security posture of an organization, including its policies, processes, and technical controls. Right. So one of this might happen that are the employees cyber aware or not? Are they becoming victim to phishing calls or not? Okay, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, coming to vulnerability assessment also, we discussed earlier, the primary focus of a vulnerability assessment is to discover potential weaknesses in the infrastructure, application, and configurations that could be exploited by attackers. Potential vulnerabilities, okay, not in depth, over the layer only. Okay. Now, coming to penetration testing, you can see the primary focus of pen testing is to actively test the security defenses of an organization by attempting to exploit weaknesses. Okay, it provides insight into how an attacker might compromise systems and network. Okay, so this is the fast and the rigorous and hardcore way, right? Like Mr. Robot kind of thing, Mr. Robot level of things. Okay. Now coming to the types of penetration testing, there is goal-oriented penetration test, compliance-oriented, and red team-oriented pen tests. Okay. Now getting a deeper dive into this, when you will come to goal-oriented penetration test, the primary focus is to achieve specific objectives or simulated targeted attacks based on identified risks and scenarios. Okay. These tests are tailored to address particular concerns, assess the security of critical assets, or validate the effectiveness of specific security control. For example, let's suppose like we have a banking system or a banking website. Okay, so we will set up a goal and we will see that how much information can we get from the web application vulnerabilities like SQL injection or IDOR or XSS, right? And then we set a particular goal, like for this week we will do only SQL injection, for the next we will do IDORs, then next we will do business logic errors, or then broken access control. So depending on the goal, the type of penetration test is conducted. Coming to the next one is compliance oriented penetration test. This is conducted to meet regulatory or industry specific requirements. Organizations subject to compliance standards such as PCI DSS, HIPAA. So you can see over here PCI DSS, payment card industry data security standard, right? So if you are an organization who like provides this payment card system, so you have to meet the security standards or the compliance standards that has been predefined or like set by this PCI DSS, right? Same for the HIPPA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, right? Now coming to the red team oriented penetration test, involves simulated realistic cyber attacks to assess an organization's overall security posture. Unlike other forms of testing, the goal of red team exercises is to simulate a sophisticated and persistent adversary, often without providing specific guidelines to the defender. So this is a game between the red team and the blue team, right? So we know the blue team works in defending and monitoring the systems, and the red team is like violating their monitoring system. So in this game, what they do is the red team will try to exploit the system in such a way that they will try to like offend in a way that the blue team does not understand, or they don't get any alarms or like alerts about the intrusion that might have happened, right? All right. So now coming to the strategies of pen testing, right? So there are three basic ways. You all know that these are very famous terms: black box, white box, and gray box. Okay. So in black box testing, what happens is you have very low information about your target. Okay, very low means very low, like just the domain name or the IP address. So for example, you have seen in bug bounties also, they will just provide you the scope and in scope, and they will just provide you the rules that you need to follow while testing, and that's all. They won't provide you much more than that. Okay, so that's what a black box is. Okay, so very little information. So in this case, like the most prevalent steps are like information gathering and recon, very important, right? So without target information, you won't be able to exploit or get much from it, right? Now coming to the white box testing, where you are given every information possible, right? Here you will get the like source code of the application, or example, like if you're working in Active Directories, they might probably give you the name of the domain controller, things like that only. Okay, so here you will get most of the information that is required, so that it will be easier for you to point out where the vulnerability actually is, right? So what happens in black box testing, for example, let's suppose we are working on a like bug bounty program. Let's take an example. Okay, there what happens is you don't have access to the source code of the web application, but you are finding a certain vulnerability at certain point. For example, let's see its XSS. So stored XSS or blind XSS or DOM based or reflected, whatever it is, right? So from there, you find a function or the search functionality which might be vulnerable to XSS. Okay, so there you are like you are throwing your arrows in blind. It might happen or might not. Okay, but when coming to white box testing, when you will do some source code reviewing and all, you will see that you will be able to confront the vulnerable piece of code that is causing the like XSS in the end, right? So that's the basic gist of white box and black box. Now coming to gray box, is this comes between these two, white and black. So here you have partial information about the target. Okay, so for example, they will just give you the subnet on which the target devices might be, or for example, let's suppose they will give you certain information about the robots.txt, things like that. Okay, not much detailed or not too less detailed, something in between. Okay, now coming to the methods of pen testing, there are basically two ways of pen testing, that is manual and automated, right? So this manual and automated, like for the automated ones, you will see I discussed about the vulnerability assessment. So that is some sort of automated pen testing only. Okay, but if you see for manual pen testing, you will need an expert engineer to perform the manual pen testing, because it's very clear, right? If you are using any kind of vulnerability scanner, you will be able to just configure the scanner, provide the target and set the rules in it, and it will do the scan for you. So what's happening in that is, like for a vulnerability scanner, let's suppose we are taking Nessus in consideration. Okay, so it has some predefined set of vulnerabilities that it has to check out, right? So let's suppose what happens is we are in 2024, right? It's April, and we are performing or we are using the Nessus version that was 2023. Right now, as I mentioned, there are some predefined set of vulnerabilities that it needs to check. And what it will check the signature or the reaction of your target, what it's happening while you are trying to like execute those kind of vulnerabilities, right? So this is the like drawback or con of automated pen testing, like the recent kind of vulnerabilities or the ones that are really deep into the application, you won't be able to test that. So as you guys have known about bug bounty also, you will see that most of the top hackers or the bug bounty hunters, those who have found like big amount of money from their bug, what happens is like they don't usually find anything with this automated scanning, right? That's the like basic understanding. You have to dig deep into it and you need to go into it, like explore the services, what kind of application it is, what is the purpose of it, how the data is being transferred, what are the APIs in it, right? So manual pen testing requires a lot more than automated. Right. Now, coming to the second point, the result may vary between tests. The results are fixed. Okay. So if you're using a particular set of rules and techniques for the scanner, it will give you the same result. Right. Now, coming to the third point, it's very time consuming and exhaustive. It is not, it is fast and efficient. Right. So automated scanner will take something around 40 minutes or 1 hour, and it will give you a basic overall overview of the application and the vulnerabilities in it. But manual pen testing is it like you need to check every single parameter if it is vulnerable or not, or you need to check every single service that you have found from the nmap scan and you need to check it manually, right? So is this vulnerable or not, or am I being able to file upload or not, am I being able to get reverse shell or not, things like that. Okay, so these are just the basic differences between manual and automated pen testing. Now coming to the common areas of penetration testing. Okay, so as shown in the screen, there are some basic. These are some of the most prevalent types of pen testing. Now, in our recent days, there are certain more ways. That is, for example, Active Directories, IoT. Then we have got like OTA and SCADA pen testing and things like that. Okay. All right. Now we will start with this network pen testing, right? So the first one is identifying vulnerabilities we have seen. So we will directly go into the common network attacks. Okay. So is my screen visible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, so the first one is DDoS attack. Okay. As you have seen in the very first episode of Mr. Robot, they have shown DDoS attack. So, do you guys know what happens behind the scenes of a DDoS attack? Can anyone tell me in the chat section? Like, how does DDoS attack take place or how do we perform it? Anyone? In the chat section. Locked out of service. Okay.
This particular attack, we
Use the chat section. Use the chat section, guys. Sending multiple requests. Basically, it can be done with botnet. Okay, botnet. Great. All right, all right, all right. So I know you guys are Mr. Robot fanboys. Okay. So don't like DDoS is flooding the network with their packet traffic and you don't flood the comment section. Okay, guys, be careful. Now, all right. So we will see just the basics of how this happens. Okay. Now coming to this, like let's suppose we have this web server. For example, let's see. Let's take EC Council only. Okay, this is EC Council's website, right? And now I am an attacker and I am planning to do something bad with the access that I will grant. Okay, so what happens in DDoS? So before DDoS, you need to understand what DOS is, right? So DOS is denial of service. Okay, guys. So in denial of service, what happens is if you are a legitimate user and if you are not getting access to the service that you are supposed to get, then that might be called as a like DOS attack, right? But what happens is DOS is it is happening to one person, right? Or even if it is happening in multiple person, the source is only one. Okay. Now, what happens in these DDoS attack? Just a second, guys. Let me just clear my screen. All right. So now what happens in this DDoS attack is, okay, this is me. I am the bad person. I am the attacker. So what I will do, first I will gain access to multiple devices, right? So for example, we have a college that has computer science class or lab practice on Wednesday from 11:35 to, let's suppose, 12:30. Okay, what I will do, like I will target that college's subnet. I will try to get inside it, because in the computer lab you will see there are multiple like devices, that multiple devices on which students will practice. So I know at this time I will get at least 50 to 60 devices which are online, right? So if they are practicing something like operating system labs or something, whatever the topic is, so I will target them first. So this is the college or the university. So first I will gain access to the subnet, and from there I will just gain access to some of the machines, right? Then I will target someone from China who might have 2 or 3 devices in him. Then we will target someone from Russia, right? Then we will target someone from Bangladesh. Then we will target someone from some other place, right? So what I plan to do is, so EC Council is giving an offer, okay, valid till 31st of, let's suppose, like tonight until 11:59 p.m. Okay, so EC Council's office is somewhere else, right? And that time matches with the time of this university having their lab classes. So what we will do, what I will do, being an attacker, I will set up my C2 server, right? Command and control server, hardcore topic, right? Mr. Robot, black hats, right? So I will establish this C2 server, and this is my botnet, right? These are the botnet or the zombie machines that I have breached earlier, and they are in my control now. So what I will do, this is EC Council's website. I will launch my attack at, let's suppose, 11 p.m. only. Okay, they have their offer valid till 11:59, right? So what will happen, as I launch my attack, a huge amount of traffic will be generated, right? Now we all know websites and their servers have a basic limitation of bandwidth allocation, right? So they can provide their resources up to certain amount of people at a particular time. For example, let's suppose 50,000 users per second or 50,000 requests per second. So if I do something like, I will launch or I will perform like 1 lakh requests per second from one device each. Okay, so you can sum up how many devices I have, and it already has a limit of 50,000, right? So if I just flood the traffic with this much amount of data or a request, for example, SYN flood, we are doing something like that, right? So what will happen, this EC Council's website and server will just like say, what is happening, bro? Are you going to kill me? Right? It will just get down. The services will be down. Okay. And it will give DDoS, distributed denial of service, right? So DOS was what? It will happening from one source. DDoS is distributed, multiple sources, multiple people from around the world, right? So this was the basic understanding of DDoS. Now coming to the next one is the man in the middle attack, another very hardcore attack, right? So I hope you guys have basic understanding of this, like a man in the middle attack. So here I have shown the tool, famous tool BetterCap, right? With which you can just like see if you enter a subnet, for example, let me just show you. Right. So this is the access point of the coffee shop. Let's suppose this is the local coffee shop, and they have a subnet of, let's suppose, 10.15.165.0/24. So can anyone tell me how many IP addresses will I get in this /24 subnet? Anyone? How many IP addresses? 25. No, not 25. /24, guys. subnetting, networking is very important before jumping into pen testing, guys. So I can see, okay, some of you are right. Okay, great. So if you come to this, you will see we will get like, just a second, let me set the color. We will get 256 IP addresses, right? /24 means 256 IP addresses, out of which 2 IP addresses won't be working, like won't be used for any user. The first one is the 10.15.165.0, that is the network address, and the last one, that is 10.15.165.255, that is the broadcast IP address. So besides from that, we will be able to use 254 IP addresses that our users or those who is connecting in our subnet will be able to use. Like we will be able to connect 254 users at a time. So what is happening? Let's suppose here is our victim, our cute little buddy having some coffee and doesn't even know that he is going to be attacked right now. Okay, so he is like enjoying the free Wi-Fi that he's getting in the coffee shop and all. Okay, great. Right. So I am the attacker sitting in the last row or at the corner. What I will do, first I will just connect to the access control, because like they are giving access to the every user. So I will also get access, right? What I will do, I will run this BetterCap tool. Okay, so what BetterCap does is, like you are the attacker, this is the access point or the router, and this is the victim. What we will do, we will sit between these two. Okay, now what will happen, being here or being in the middle of the communication, we will be able to listen to whatever data or traffic is going from him and coming towards him, right? Okay, so what I will do, like I am a malicious actor, I am a hacker, okay, and I want to disturb this person. Okay, so what I will do, let's suppose he is like doing a request for facebook.com. He needs to, like, he will take a picture and post it in Facebook, like that. And I don't like that kind of people showing off their lifestyle in the social media. Okay, so what I will do, his request needs to go through this access point, right? From there it will go to the internet service provider. From there it will go to the DNS server, authoritative DNS server, root name server. Then it will reach facebook.com. Then in that sequence only the data will come back to him. Now what I will do, his request is facebook.com, and I will change it. Okay, I will change it to hacked.com. Okay, now I will forward that request through the access point, and the access point will think I need to find this hacked.com, right? So I don't need to, it's not mentioned in the request that it needs facebook.com. So what it will do, it will like pass the packet with the address of hacked.com, and from hacked.com it will receive the response and it will go through me. Now our little buddy over here, he will think, what is wrong? Am I hacked? Yes, you are. Okay, like you search for facebook.com, you were able to post a picture. Now I am showing him hack.com. He will be nervous, right? He will be terrified. What happened to me? So this is the extent of like impact, what you can do with this man in the middle attack. Very dangerous, Mr. Robot again. Okay, now coming to the next one, that is packet sniffing, right? So that we do with Wireshark. You can see over here that like if the user or the service is using some unsecure protocols, for example this HTTP, and it is like submitting data in the form of for example a plain text. So what, through this Wireshark tool, if I do some packet analysis on my like H0 on my interface, I will be able to read this plain text. Okay, so this is one of the network attacks. Right, now coming to the worms, malware, and propagation, I will, like I mentioned it in here for a specific purpose. Just a second, guys. Okay, so let's suppose, let me clean the screen. Okay, so I am a hacker. Okay, and I want to target someone, right? This is a hacker, this is me, and this is the person, this is my victim. So somehow I will send some malware or virus or worm to this victim. So before discussing about this, how many of you know the difference between worm and virus? Write in the chat section. What is the difference between these? Okay, just give me a short description, very short, just one liner. Just tell me what is the difference between these two. Virus can replicate, but worms cannot. Actually, you told the opposite one. Worm can propagate itself, right? All right. Self-replicating worm, virus is standalone. Great. Okay. So what happens is worm can propagate itself, it can multiply itself, and it can spread itself throughout the network or the device, right? And virus cannot. Okay. Now what happens is worm can replicate itself to the multiple like locations or folders of the that one the device or the network. Okay, it will be able to propagate and it will be able to spread itself throughout the network or the device. Virus will also be able to do that, but what will happen, worm does not require any user interaction. Okay, but virus does. So for example, I made some virus.exe, or let's trick the person and we will make something like let's give it a name, Justin Bieber.exe. Okay, and we are advertising it to the Justin Bieber fans. Okay, so download this and you will be able to get the albums of all the albums and all the musics that Justin Bieber has produced and released till today. Okay, and we will trick this and we will trick our victim with this. Okay, now what will happen for worms, if it is one time, if it is installed in your system, it will not require any kind of user interaction. Okay, it will directly just start replicating itself and do the purposes it has been like configured for. Okay, so in certain cases it might slow down your RAM, or it will fill up your storage, or whatever that might be. Now coming to virus, you need to click on this .exe. That user interaction is required. Okay, all right. So this was the basic difference between virus and worm. Now why I mentioned in the like network attacks, it's because like there are certain malware coders or apt groups. You know what apt is, right? Advanced persistent threats. These are the hacker organization or group of hackers. Okay, so they might configure the virus or worm in such a way that if it gets exposed to the network, it will spread throughout the network and also infect other systems, right? So it will not be limited until with the like just the flash drive falling on the road, not just that. Okay, so that's the basic gist of it. Now coming to the web application attack, again very dangerous kind of attack, Mr. Robot level of thing, right? So the first one is brute force attack, brute forcing through burp intruder or hydra, like brute forcing the login credential, for example, one of it. So now we cannot expect everyone in our society to be tech savvy or technical people, right? Some of them might not have as much technical exposure like us. So a hacker with malicious intent might target their account as well. Like some of us, like our parents or their earlier generations, they won't be able to remember the long passwords, right? So what happened is they are giving password something like password 1234 or admin 1234 or their phone number or something like that. So what brute force attack does is just crack the credentials, right? So and we have multiple tools for that, the intruder and all. Okay, coming to the injection attacks, one of the most dangerous attacks or the impactful attacks, right? The SQL injection, XSS command injection, things like that. So if some of you has solved the command injection labs of Portswigger Academy, you will be able to see that it will like for example, there you will, if your command is executed in the web application, then you will be able to like bring out the contents of HC password or HC shadow files, right? So from the HC password, you will be able to see the users. Then you can be able to use the usernames for crafting your brute force attack, right? So you can interconnect or chain these bugs together, right? Now coming to SQL injection, if your SQL map or any other tool, or if you are doing manual also, if you like, if you are able to execute your SQL query, then what might happen in certain cases, you will be able to dump out the contents of the database, right? So there you will be able to get the data of users, for example, username, password, date of birth, address, banking details, or whatever, right? Then there is fuzzing test. Fuzzing is like finding the hidden directories with GoBuster, FF, derb, right? Then there is cross-site scripting, getting the document dot cookies, getting an alert, or in certain cases you will be able to escalate that into other kind of things as well. So denial of service I mentioned here also. So DDoS can happen on a web application also, or in a network also, right? Coming to the cross-site request forgery. So what happens here is, I will initiate one action. For example, let's suppose, let's start from here only. Okay, now I am the attacker, this is the victim. Now I know he has a account in facebook.com. Let's suppose this is just an example. Okay, so what happens is, I know he has a Facebook account and I will also open a Facebook account, right? Now what I will do, I will create a like, for example, let's suppose I will do the change password action in my end, right? And I will intercept that request in my burp interceptor, and I won't complete it. What I will do, I will just save this as an HTML file, or let's suppose, for if you're using burp collaborator client, then, or the CSRF POC, right? Burp has a functionality called CSRF POC generator. With that, I will generate a HTML file that will have this request, this change password request. And what I will do, I will send this request to the victim, right? And the moment he runs this .html file and this script is executed and this request is sent, what will happen? His password will change, right? So I initiated the process but did not complete. I made it complete in the victim system, and in that way I will be able to change his password. Or more effective one is email change, right? I will change his email so that I wanted my email to be changed in his. Now what will happen? The victim has my attacker's email ID signed in his system. Okay, what that might cause is, like, I will be able to go in his system because it's my email. The OTP will also come in my email only. Now I will be able to change his password. I will be able to change his email address, or I will be able to do some cyber crime from his website, from his user account, right? So this is the extent of impact of CSRF. And there is XSS, like XML entity, external entity, that there is path traversal, IDOR, broken access control. So guys, see, it's already 10:26. So I will just tell you the basic difference between IDOR and broken access control, right? So what broken access control is, like this is the application and there is two kinds of functionalities. One is the normal user, another is admin user, right? So what broken access control is, me being a normal user being able to run or execute the admin level functionalities, right? That is broken access control. And what IDOR is, like, this is the website and we are two users of the same privilege. We are both normal level users, but what happens in IDOR is, I will be able to like get access to his resources. So this attack is peer level and this is like upper level attack. Okay, so this is the basic difference between IDOR and broken access control, right? So I have shown all of this in here. You will be able to see, and this is taken from Port Sugar Academy only, right? Now coming to social engineering pen testing. Okay, so right, so here we are performing like phishing calls and different kind of attacks, right? So one is phishing, whaling, betting, diversion, theft, business email compromise, pretexting, right? So phishing is, we will trick the target to give us valuable information, right? Then there is whaling, when you are going after a big target, right? CEOs and CTOs and CEOs of the company, right? Then there is another also, spear phishing, in which the attack is very specific, right? Well crafted attack. Yeah, today we have the theory class only. From tomorrow we will see some practical as well. Okay, now coming to this betting, and this is the best example I can show you guys. Okay, this is what betting is, right? All right, then there is business email compromise. Okay, I will share the PDF in the group, you will be able to like get it. Yeah, sure guys, I will share the PDF. Like then there is the Wi-Fi or the wireless attacks. This is a Wi-Fi adapter which we use, which has monitor mode enabled, and we will be able to like listen or capture packets with this, right? Then there is cloud pen testing. These are the vulnerabilities that we have in cloud, right? Operating system, there are certain operating systems which we use for pen testing, that is a Kali, Parrot, Black Arch, Backbox, and etc. So the most used is Kali Linux, as we all know, because it comes with a suite of pre-installed tools that we require. Now you can also use Ubuntu or Linux Mint or whatever flavor of Linux you like, but the problem is you will have to install all the tools all over again, right? So for that purpose we use Kali Linux, but there is also one drawback, that Kali Linux and operating system like Black Arch, these are very unstable operating systems, right? Okay, so this is it for today. Okay guys, so just let me know in the chat section, how did you like the session, how was the session? So we will be, this was just a theoretical and a presentation only. From next class we are going to like see the practical side of it. Okay, so tell me no guys, tell me, let me know like how was your experience in this. Oh, you found the example of betting image, huh? Great. It's a revision for me. Great, guys. Okay, so see, you can see those who are intermediate level or even advanced level. This was just a basic revision for you guys also. And for the beginner ones, it was like a new experience for you, right? So like the thing is, you will get a lot of information everywhere around. It's spread out all over, right? But like it's always try to get information or knowledge from wherever you are getting. Okay, awesome being an ethical hacker from TCM, but today learn some theories as well. Okay, great, you work at TCM security, the cyber mentor. All right guys, about the attendance, like I guess the team has taken your attendance from all the screenshots. Okay, don't worry about that. Great. All right guys, so it's 11:31, so we will end the session here. So it was great to have you, and I expect this amount of enthusiasm for the next 7 days as well. Okay, so thank you so much guys for being a part of this. Okay, all right guys, bye bye, take care. You may leave the meet now. Okay.